Good evening, Martha Remington here, Chairman of the Bolton Historical Commission. I have a legal notice of the Bolton Historical Commission, notice of public hearing. The Bolton Historical Commission will hold a public hearing under the provisions of the demolition delay bylaw on Wednesday, December 18th, 2013 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall, 663 Main Street, Bolton, Massachusetts, 01740, to consider a demolition permit application filed by Michael D. Tenelia of Clinton Savings Bank for the 1919 Howard Atwood Farm Manager's House, a single-family dwelling at 652 Main Street. 562 Main Street. Assessor's map 4C, parcel 25. I would like to introduce you to our commission. Gentlemen, this is Richard Hayward and Michael Tenelia. Our newest member, Jean Marie Padovano, Alice Coggeshall, Marshall McKee, Linda Engelman, myself, Martha Remington, and Robert Bush. I'm now going to turn the hearing over to our member and past chairman, Linda Engelman.
Well, the purpose of the hearing, just so everyone is clear on it, is to determine whether the demolition of this building will be detrimental to the historical, cultural, or architectural heritage of the town, as stated in our bylaw. The 1919 Howard Atwood Farm Manager's House was found historically significant by our commission on November 20th. And it was found so for the following reason, as stated in the bylaw: it is historically and architecturally important in terms of period, style, and construction, both by itself and in the context of a group of buildings. And let me explain that more fully and how we came to that. It is one of the very few examples of early Dutch colonial revival architecture in Bolton, and this is examples of what Dutch colonial houses looked like, and that period was from the late 19th century up until about 1930, so this is actually an early example, relatively early example. It has the characteristic gambrel roof with a broad shed dormer centered over the facade. A middle dormer has been removed, and the front of the house still maintains its three-bay arrangement. A bay is, here are the windows, here's the door, here's the next set of windows, so it's 1, 2, 3. And although the original doorway has since been replaced by an earlier Greek Revival style doorway unit. Okay, the house also belongs to a complex of buildings which once formed part of the Howard Atwood's Orchard View Farm. The main feature, the main house, of course, is the 1793 Captain Samuel Blood House, which is currently Bolton Global Capital Incorporated, along with that property's barn, stable, equipment shed, wagon house, poultry barn, garage, cottage, and pump house, all of which are wonderful features to still have on a farm. Most farms no longer have any of that. It's long since disappeared. So in 1916, Atwood, who was a wealthy Boston wool merchant, bought the farm, and in 1919, he had 3 houses built for his senior employees and their families. And therefore, the 3 houses over there, 550, 556, and the house in question, 562, tell a story about the evolution of an early Bolton farm up to the present day. Third, the reason that we made our determination of historically significant is because the house is within the Bolton Center National Register Historic District, which means it's on the National Register of Historic Places, which means it has thus been recognized nationally as an historic property. This determination requires this public hearing be held for all parties to discuss whether or not the structure would be found preferably preserved, which is another phrase used in the demolition delay bylaw, and thereby have an up to 6-month delay on any permitting, including demolition. And again, preferably preserved means to, it's a determination on whether or not the demolition would be detrimental to the historical, cultural, and architectural heritage of the town. And as a side note, please note that condition is not a factor in determining whether a structure is preserved or not. So we'd now like to hear from you,
Okay.
if you have any information to bring to the table.
Well, we appreciate your time, and and I appreciate hearing the historical value of the property. It does seem to be historically significant. I agree with your assessment, given the age and how the property was developed by the users and for the community. Our approach in coming to you before this is to try to, first of all, comply with whatever requirements you may have, and secondly, to try to, our hope is to replace the property with a similar structure that would not be disruptive to the community. The use of the property really, again, our intent is to use this as a branch for the Clinton Savings Bank. Excuse me. And to try to restructure that building to make use of that branch really doesn't work because of the structure, because of the layout, because of the condition of the property. It is 94 years old, but as Mr. Bracy would attest, it has gone through some significant changes through time. There was a fire in 1980 which caused some restructure, if you will. So it would really be a detriment to our purpose, but again, we want to work with the town to make sure that it would not disrupt to the needs of the community. We have developed some plans which we showed to the Design Review Board, which they found to be, I won't speak for them, but they found to be, in essence, in the right direction, if you will, as to what would work in the town. And so I think our hope, again, is to try to replace it with something that would be useful for us, but also meet your needs as well. And we try to have a structure that has a similar look in the front, not exactly, but a similar look in the front, so that it does have the windows and the doors, and it does have a second floor to it, but it would be prolonged in the back so that we would have approximately 1,800 square feet for branch use. But again, we try to accommodate your wishes. And the work that we've done so far, because of the layout of the property, the fact that it's about 8.85 acres, there's a considerable amount of work that will be required to make use of the building, I should say, but also to try to put a septic system in place, because right now it does not have a septic system. And in order to do that, we would really have to move the building because of the condition of the land, the water table that's below it. It would cause a significant investment on our part to try to do that. And the building as it sits really does not accommodate that need, or that purpose, if you will. However, that being said, our intent is to replace it with a similar style or something that would be pleasing to the eye as you come down on 117 with both directions. I think the landscape that we would put around it would probably be more landscape than parking, if you will. And also try to make sure that it blends into the community. So our hope is that you would be agreeable to allow us to do that for that purpose. And I understand, that, as you said, the condition of the property is really not a factor, but the fact that we have to move it slightly, and because of the septic and the drainage that would be required, is really not something that we could work with.
Does the commission have any questions? I have a brief question. I saw some
Absolutely.
plans that you had submitted to Martha a while ago.
Yes, yeah.
And that style was early colonial, which, while it fits in beautifully with Bolton, it wouldn't fit in that particular location, given that the other two cottages were early 1900s.
Right,
So
right.
you'd be much happier to see a
Well-
Dutch colonial style or something of that period, as opposed to.
We would be happy to review that. It is something that our architect put together based on what he saw in the environment. We'd be happy to review that. I can't say tonight that we would meet exactly what you would like us to do, but we would certainly be happy to review it and to see if there's something that could be done so that we could come up with a situation that would be acceptable to you and to us. So I'd be more than happy to take that step.
Out of curiosity, when you were doing the design process, working with the architects, did it come up, the idea of using a front appearance that was identical or very, very similar to what's there now?
It did, and this is what we came up with. We did not consider the Dutch colonial as such, if you will. And to be honest with you, I'm not an architect, and so I can't tell the difference, I'll be honest with you, but I'm sure he can. But we've tried to come up with something that has a similar look, and this is what we have. And again, we presented it to the design review board, but if this might need some slight modification, we'd be happy to take a look at that. Okay. So I can work with the architect to see what can be done, but he would know better than I exactly what can and cannot be done, but I would be happy to pursue it.
I have one other question. I was not aware of the issue on the septic. And you said the building would literally have to be moved, so it's not a habitable situation at the moment? You can't live there?
No, you can't live there, but...
How do you do that without a septic?
Right now, Mr. Bracy, I'm sure, could speak better to it than I can, but it is a cesspool as opposed to a septic.
So it's a very old system.
Exactly, and it's something that would have to be replaced. And we've had engineers on the property, and we've had architects, as you know, to work on it. And given the water table that's below the ground, and it's only about 4 feet from the ground, we would have to raise the property in order to install a septic system. And that would really, and so this is why I'm saying the house really has to be moved in order to accommodate that.
The whole property, either way at this point, will probably have to be raised. How high, we're not sure yet.
Well, that wouldn't be an issue, I mean, in terms of keeping the whole, if you were to keep the structure, remodel what is there, certainly raising it and moving it would be a lot better theoretically for us than replacing it.
No, I understand. It's just that it's our estimate that we would have to raise it a couple of feet, and I'm not sure that house would withstand movement in any way. Okay, but as Mr. Hayward indicated, in order for the septic system to be installed, it has to be 5 feet above the water table. That has to be, the entire property has to be raised, and the house would be impacted by that.
Would that be true of a Presby system as well as a conventional system? Is it going to be a mound?
In the back, towards the wetlands. And we're working with the health department to make sure that we comply with their requirements as well. It would not be in the front. It's not, so visually, it would not be, the front of the property would not be impacted. This would be towards the back of the property.
Would it be between the two drives or in back of the drive up window?
It would be where the garage is now,
Okay,
in that area.
To the right side, I think.
Yeah.
but you still feel you would have to move the house to accommodate the septic way back in the back?
Because the whole thing has to be lifted.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see, so it's not really moving it, it's raising it,
Right.
R-A-I-S
Exactly.
instead of R-A-Z-E, okay?
They're different kind of raised.
Good point, good point. So, and as I said, the condition of the house, I walked through it, I provided you with some pictures that, and Mr. Bracy, I'm sure could attest to the fact that if we really try to put that up, I'm not sure that it would withstand it. So,
Have you had someone who moves houses come in and look at it?
no, we have not.
Because houses are lifted and moved all the time in a variety, I mean, it's a common occurrence in the historic preservation world, and of course, those people are more familiar with it than
Sure.
the common person.
Conventional
being
engineers.
It is done, I'm sure, I'm familiar with one in Berlin that was moved, but it's quite an effort, and I
Yeah.
realize that, as you said, the condition of the house is not a factor to your decision, nor as a financial impact, a consideration for you as well, and I respect that. But given...
And we understand
Yeah, no,
where you're coming from, too.
no, I understand, and I respect what you're saying, and I agree. If I were there, I would be saying the same thing. However, given the amount of work that this is going to take for the septic and all of that, and then the additional work that would be required to lift it or to move it in any direction, the project may become cost prohibitive at that point.
What if the additions to the structure that were a lot later, I understand some of them were added, were removed, and the basic structure were retained? Would that make any difference?
I'm afraid not.
Where you didn't have to worry about, I mean, I understand you still have to lift the whole thing,
Right.
but the additions could be removed.
Our branch would be primarily in the center of the building. I believe it's about 30 feet wide, and it would be where the door is. That would be the central point of our building as well. So I'm not sure that the sides, that what has been added would impact us either way. If that answers your questions, I'm not sure if I've answered it properly.
Yeah, would it make a difference?
Right.
If they were there or gone, or
Right.
lower the cost? Anyone else have?
Anyone in the audience have any comments?
Depends what you'd like to hear.
Well-
I've lived in that house longer than anybody of the Atwood family, anybody. I lived there 42 years. It belonged to Robert Atwood, who died in '53, so he couldn't have lived there longer than I have. After he died, it became a rental property. Anytime you want me to come up and correct some of those things that you have written down, I will do so.
We have a form exactly for that purpose.
Yeah, well,
It would be very
the
helpful.
form you sent out is not accurate. Not by the least.
Great, enjoy your renovation.
I would think, from what these people are proposing, the best thing for my particular house would be to raise it and let them put up a similar structure. Mainly because all three were different anyway. Mine was never intended to be built. When I moved here, I had 4.5 years, to converse with Howard Atwood,
Oh,
which most of you people don't even know. Most of the town didn't like him either. Well, he was on the fire department, and it used to bother me that they called him, the town did, old picky ass. It's laughable, but it's not when you think about what it did to the guy. He wouldn't talk to anybody, but he used to come over to our house and have picnic lunches with our kids and everything else. So I got better story than you were ever going to get. Nobody ever seemed to be interested in it. And at this point, I think the conversation should just be to raise the building, put up a similar structure like they plan to. The garage is going to disappear anyway. Put the septic system out back, and you could probably even, if you raise it enough, you can have the parking there. There's no traffic problem. It's the same bank moving across the street. Matter of fact, as an aside here, they can't see me on a television, right? I would like to personally invite Martha to come sit in my driveway at 4:30 during the week and see what the new traffic markings on the road has done.
oh, really?
I live in a racetrack. It's a dragster. I mean, you get the traffic backed up in front of your house. You ought to see it in front of my house for the last month. It's unimaginable. And there's already been one accident. There's going to be more. So the trouble with the traffic problem is it's not going to go away, but they're not going to make it any worse. As a matter of fact, it may be better, depending on how many traffic people from the bank at 5 o'clock go east. That's, any other questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Well, I'd just like to say, Mr. Bracy, that we are interested in anything that you have to say about the property, and if you would like to jot down a few of your, I mean, this might not be the place right here, but
Right.
certainly, you know me, and you can, my phone number,
Well, I didn't-
let me know, because
I
we
never
want
knew what you had on this place until you sent me the
survey,
the little info sheet that just came with this meeting.
yeah.
I'm looking like, that's not my property.
Well,
Sorry.
Our consultant does
Yeah.
her best,
Without
Going-
entering
going-
the homes.
right, without entering the home and going to the Historical Society to see what records they have.
Yeah. But as far as the three houses being a consortium that was built by the Atwoods for their workers,
Mm.
the only house, I've been in all three, matter of fact, I should own all three. I didn't have any money. Honest to God, because when John died, they came and asked me if I would buy it. I didn't have any money. When Howard died, his cousin from New York, or nephew, whoever it was up my doorstep. Would you buy Howard's house and get, what do you do when you're a young guy, two young kids? I didn't have any money, so I should own the whole corner.
Have you done a traffic study to see which way would benefit the bank, or is there no difference? You just need to change locations?
We changed locations, we really don't see an impact, but we are looking at it, and we've done some internal studies to see what kind of traffic we have in our lobby and our drive-up, just to see how many cars come in and out of that parking lot on a daily basis. And at this point, I apologize, I don't have that number, but it is not a significant number, and we don't feel that moving across the street would really have an impact in either way. So,
Well, I would hope you would think you'd get more people pulling in as opposed to at your current location, right? Is that why you're moving?
Yeah,
we're
well,
moving for better visibility.
Right.
We'd like to have a larger space. Right now, this proposed location would add about 400 square feet to what we currently have, so we'd like to do some different things to it. But better visibility, and obviously we'd like more business. So if you like my business card and anything, I'd be happy to talk to you about that.
But I think some of the initial numbers is something like, we only have maybe 100 cars on a day, and that road, from what I understand, is something like 17,000
Right.
or more.
Right.
So our 100, even if we were to double that, which we wouldn't expect that, it's immaterial completely to the traffic that goes down that road on a daily basis. Again, we're looking at some of the numbers, those are just from the
Right.
preliminary that we looked at.
Exactly.
Any other comments from the commission or from the audience? Mr. Wiley?
David Wiley, Green Road. Maybe because I came in late, I missed something, but I don't understand the connection between the parking and traffic across the street and putting a new house on this lot. Isn't all of this lot going to be for the new house?
Well, there's going to be Clinton Savings Bank, which is currently at Bolton Corners here, the Freitas Building. They're renting there now, and they want to buy this property and put up their branch there at 562 Main.
Oh, well, I guess I missed it entirely then. But you were talking about putting a house up and whether it was going to have a colonial fund or some other.
Well, we had
bank.
asked.
A
Yes. It's going to be a
Oh,
branch
it's
of the
gonna be a
bank.
bank.
And so we're trying to require or have Clinton Savings try and put something up that's in the flavor of the context of these three homes that were built for workers and the manager, and all part of the Orchard View Farm.
Good luck. Most businesses won't hire a good architect and really go after quality. That's the last thing I think of, and I know nothing about Clinton Savings Bank, so my wife has a deposit there, but. So I don't want to insult the bank or anything like that, but is this commercially zoned?
Yes, it's limited business, isn't it,
Yes,
sir?
exactly.
Yeah, so they want to have a front facade, and then it will be the central part of this building that goes back toward the woods will be the main bank branch, and then they're going to have drive-through at the end. So you would enter on the Bolton Office Park side, go around, and then come out toward the veterinary side.
And will it require no variance whatsoever and no zoning change
It
whatsoever?
probably will require some
It does.
variances because it's a small lot.
It is a small lot, so it does require some variances, and we're prepared to meet with the ZBA, the planning board. We've had an informal discussion.
Board of
with them.
Health.
Right. We had an informal discussion with them already, and we've met with the design review board. All of them have received our proposal favorably. We don't have any variances yet. We're just in the very early stage of the project, and we're trying to make sure that we can do what we would like to do. So far, the discussions have been favorable. But what we're trying to say in here is that by moving from where we are to across the street, it should not be a disruption to 117. And we hope to have a larger, slightly larger, more attractive office that we can provide some better services and provide some better technology for our customers. So.
As a lawyer, I often wonder why in hearings like this and proposals and the development scheme as they move along through all the different steps, why there never, or sometimes never, comes into being an enforceable contract between the person who's developing the land and the town. A contract which would have the plans and which would impose penalties in the event that the owner didn't carry through and do what he said he was going to do. And I mean, it's just sort of operating on faith, and I believe in operating on faith. That's the lawyer in me.
I can appreciate that, but to that point, what we typically see in my experience, and Mitch Hayward as well, is that when a board gives us an approval, if you will, for a variance, they typically put some conditions on it. There will be a conditional approval based on us doing certain things. And we have to comply with that, otherwise the building inspector would never give us an occupancy permit at the end. So there will be some, I'm sure there will be some conditions that will be attached to any variances that we will receive, and we will have to abide by them, and then the building inspector will monitor the progress throughout the project, and before we get an occupancy permit, I'm sure that all of those will be reviewed, and if they're not in compliance, we won't be able to occupy the building. So.
But each town committee or council or whatnot has its own jurisdiction, so it just depends on what falls under.
Exactly.
We have several boards, several to go to besides this one, so each one has their own stipulation, but it also depends on what falls under their jurisdiction.
Now, I won't make another speech other than just to comment that I've made an awful lot of speeches about 117, where it's headed, and where it's going to wind up as things are eroded, as the current appearance of it is eroded one step at a time. Well, this isn't so bad, and well, that's not so bad. And I took a count a few years ago from Lancaster to Line and looking at signs, and I forget how long I lived here at the time, maybe 10 years or something, but maybe 20, but the number of signs, commercial signs, not counting traffic signs or municipal signs, had doubled in a relatively short period of time. And so, you double that over another time and then another time, and before you know it, the whole street is going to be not a street. It's going to be a highway, and that's where developers and owners, that's what they want, and that's what they've been trying to get. We've had huge battles here, and because this land is already zoned for limited business, is that what you said, limited business?
That's correct, yes.
I'm not arguing to turn it back, nor would it be possible, but I'm just asking that this one board, at least, I've criticized the planning board many times for not being strict enough in these conditions they put in. and not frequently enough hiring professional assistants, or sometimes they do it like a professional architect or a planner at the owner, at the developer's expense, to come up with really the best possible scheme for that property in its own presently its own use. And so, anyway, I appreciate the chance to sound off again.
No, I appreciate your comments, and I think they're very, I understand exactly what you're saying. I think though, from what I've seen in the town of Bolton, I think the town of Bolton is doing a very good job in trying to maintain that environment, if you will, because this is the first town I've seen a design review board in existence. I've done some projects in Sterling, Berlin, and Boylston, and now West Boylston, but this is the first time we've had a design review board that we've had to present our plans to, which tells me that the town is very much interested in maintaining the environment that exists today, and making sure that it stays that way. So, and we're trying to accommodate that. As you've seen in our plans, we're trying to be a good neighbor, if you will, and try to accommodate your needs.
Can I just ask if your scheme calls for shielding or screening the parking from the highway? Through planting
Yes.
and the width of the green strip and so forth?
We have, the parking will be in the back of
Right.
the building, and there will be, I believe on the right-hand side of the building, I believe the design review board would like to see delineation of some kind of a wall. We're open with some shrubs that we can protect that as well. So lighting should not be an issue, because it will be probably about, I'm guessing, about 200 feet from the street. So we should...
It won't be glares coming out into the street or up into the night sky?
No, all lighting will be downward as requested by the
Yeah,
design review
the
board.
guidelines.
And
We have design guidelines.
and the only time that any headlights would be towards the street is at the exit, when people leave in the parking lot. But again, our hours are also, we typically close at 4 o'clock most days, 6 o'clock one day, which leaves only the ATM that will be used at night, but we don't see a lot of traffic with that either. And there aren't any residents across the street that would be impacted by the light, because it's all businesses across the street, so that should not have an impact.
Thank you.
Could I ask a question, a very direct question?
Please.
How much of a hardship would it be if we did impose a demolition delay of up to 6 months for you?
It's really not a hardship. We have a lot of work to do, and
Right.
and as we've indicated, we're very early in our plans and our permitting process. We see that, given the various boards that we have to meet, we're probably going to be doing that into possibly March or April, if you will. So in a position of 6 months, it would not be a hardship.
Right,
So,
right.
again, we're trying to do what we can to accommodate your needs.
Right.
So, but
And the purpose of a delay is to actually work with the applicant to get the best result in the end. And of course, you're coming to us anyway, Wanting the best result.
exactly.
But it might work, I mean, if we were to place a delay, it might satisfy our needs and yet also satisfy your needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 'cause I think when we were here last time,
Yes.
although informally as it may have been, it was more about to see if somebody else wanted the house to move it or to put it somewhere else, because I think as we've discussed, it doesn't really suit our needs going forward. We were open to that, we still are open to that, although we may have to discuss it with the fire department, because they would like to burn it down as an exercise from what I understand.
Like I said, everyone has a different viewpoint.
But at the end of the day, I mean, as it sits now, I mean, we'll take a look at it, but it doesn't really suit our needs per se, the building that's there right now. But we're here again to give the 6 months to see if somebody else wants it. I believe the request was free house, something like that, if somebody would like to move it at their
Right,
cost.
right.
We're happy to, again,
Yeah.
accommodate that. depending on where the fire
As
department.
unlikely as that might be, too.
Yeah, no, as Rich indicated, whatever we would do would not happen until summer.
Right,
So
right, that's
that's not a problem.
Do you have any sense of whether it's feasible to think about making the facade and profile of the building, in other words, the roof line, which is the distinctive feature of the building
A
architecturally,
story and a half.
and the facade of the building as it currently sits to be applied to the new structure? And then obviously what goes behind that would be different, that's
Yes.
understood.
Right. Our plan is to have a story and a half. I believe it's about 23 feet high.
Do you have the because it
Again,
looks like...
this is not final.
Right.
But it is.
That was what I was confused.
Right, these are their plans.
And we did share these with the design review board, and they seemed, pleasantly surprised with what we had come up with, we
It's a
wanted to.
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful structure, but it really is much more early.
It's
Seven-
earlier than the Dutch
17
revival.
1700s.
Colonial.
But, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, can you go back to the architects and see if they can come up with a facade that's more similar to this versus the facade of the colonial?
The preliminary
Right, I was
architectural
placing these-
conception that you had brought, which you had said was basically preliminary.
It is.
Same thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's very nice, I mean, we like it, it looks great.
Yeah.
But the question is, it's not really the context of that area.
I understand. I did have a very preliminary conversation about that with the architect, and I will have it again and see if we
Okay.
can match it in any way. I just, I'm not sure exactly what you call this.
A dormer.
Yes, but I mean, the way the roof, this particular angle.
That's called, it's the dormer. It's
Oh, you
a
mean-
jut out.
Do you mean the gambrel shape? Or
Yes,
is it-
and this right here, that's, okay, it's a dormer. How we can match that and given our needs inside might be an issue, but I don't know, but I certainly have that conversation.
And these are
Bigger
others.
one here.
Yep,
I mean, there are many,
okay.
So this would not just be used for storage, it would be actual space that you might want to have offices and things in?
No, our plan was to have it open inside, so we have somewhat of a,
Like a dummy second floor, if you will,
Yeah.
kind of open space,
Almost like a-
possibly some skylights and whatnot, yeah.
almost like
With a high ceiling, so
Yes.
it wouldn't really be 2 stories, it would be just open
One and a half.
and lighted.
Right, on the front, it would appear to be 2 stories, but inside it would not be. It would be an open area, a cathedral effect, if you will.
I would think if you had a gambrel, basically a gambrel roof, with these in the opening serving as the light, additional light, it would be a smaller than what you had in the new plan. Not that dissimilar, actually. And, you could probably tweak the appearance a little bit to match the need.
I mean, the backside isn't what we're as concerned about as the front facade.
Right.
Sure, no, I understand that. I think it's the visibility from 117 is the...
and also the side profile.
Yep.
You see the gambrel
That
profile.
distinctive barn shape, practically, in this
Well, it's a
particular
break in the
camp.
roof, gambrel
Right.
is a break.
It's not a straight gable, it's,
Sure.
Jean Marie, could you show that color picture that you have there again, please? One of my concerns are the 2 trees in the front, 2 or 3 trees. If your septic is going in the back, those trees shouldn't be in jeopardy, correct?
Our plan is not to impact the trees at
One on
all.
the left is in jeopardy already.
There's one tree...
dying.
Right.
The sycamore? The one on the left as you look at the house?
If you look at.
Yeah. But those are town trees, I believe. Mr. Slater planted them.
Two town trees. And
There
there's a
is-
liability problem because
is one
the branches
tree.
are falling off of the acre.
Well, we'll let the town tree warden know about that. Did you call?
No? You already lost
Thank you,
one.
Jean Marie.
Trying to see if I can find a photo of that tree, but there is one tree in the front.
The one that's on the leftmost side, yeah. But the sycamore is doing well, the one toward Bolton Office Park.
There was 2 of them.
I think are there 2 there?
No, there used to be 2. Gordon, I've been there a long time. Gordon planted both of
I
them.
believe,
Yeah.
I believe
Himself.
it's- I believe this,
He planted one right by the drain,
Okay.
it died.
Got it.
Oh, okay. This is of the inside, sir?
No, the outside, I'm trying to see if I can find that tree. I believe this is the tree that he's referring to.
Looks like a maple.
And this is the one that,
Needs some looking at. Well, I can call
Okay.
the tree warden.
I'm gonna say that one, if it's the big maple between the two houses,
It's this
that one
one.
should come down too, because something happened, and I'm not making any accusations. When the driveway got put in by Shoemaker Jennings, it's a stone dust driveway for the dog hospital. That side of the tree started dying. Did they have something, a weed control in the gravel? Nobody can ever answer it. But that side of the maple should come down too. It's my maple.
I'll notify Mr. Case, I'm sorry, Mr. Tenali.
No, please, I apologize. No, what we're going to say is that our intent is not to disturb the trees, especially those that belong to the town.
Great.
If there is one, as he said, that is in jeopardy of, and not well, if you will, we'll take a look at that. But the way the building is laid out, I don't believe that the trees will be impacted. So.
Now, let's say that this demolition delay is in effect and the house is raised. Is your setback going to be the same as this existing house, or further back, or closer to the road?
It'd be just about where it is now.
The
Okay,
house itself, layout moved, but not significantly, maybe a couple of
Okay.
feet in different directions.
because I just wanted to mention, no demolition can occur until actually all these other boards are done, so that, you know, it's a pre-existing building, and so
No, absolutely.
it will be there really until everything is settled as far as the setbacks and things, and then,
The 6 months doesn't start at that point, it starts whenever is voted on, I'm assuming tonight, correct?
well, it can be up to a week from now, and then we have to notify you, so it would be soon, so May would be 6 months.
Yeah, but let's say it's January 1st, July 1st, given what we have to do and all the permits that we would have to get, that's not we wouldn't touch this until all of the permits are in place.
Now, the septic system won't have to be huge, they're based on bedrooms, and this would be just a public facility and those on-site employees, correct?
It's just for employees, there would be no public access to
Oh, so there
the,
won't be any restrooms?
for public use, no, unless.
They usually aren't.
Because of security issues.
Right.
Oh, okay, so it wouldn't have to be a huge system then?
No, it's not, it's, I believe they categorize as a 200 gallon a day, which is a very small unit, right.
But you still, because of the water table, you're gonna have to raise the level up.
There's a
It's only 4 feet underground, the water table, so it has to be, there's a lot of measurements going on, but basically
Lots
it's
of
gonna
times
stick about
Presby
5
can
feet
help
up.
with that. Have you heard of Presby Systems?
I have not, but I'll make a note of it.
P-R-E-S-B-Y, yeah.
I'll make a note of it and mention it to our engineer, so.
Okay, any other comments from the audience or from the commission? Or from the applicants?
And again, I appreciate your time and I appreciate your consideration of our application. And if, whatever your decision, will be respectful and accommodate your needs as best we can, so.
Yes, thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll hear from you at,
Mr. Wiley, did you get to sign this sheet here?
Yes, we have to,
And Mr. Bracy, I know, Mr. Bracy did. Here,
Okay.
just sort of keep track of who came.
That's
We're very
just-
glad, thank you so much.
yeah.
So between now and Christmas
Mr.
Eve,
Bracy for
basically?
coming.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
you may keep this too.
And we expect a summary from you, Mr. Bracy. We're sincere about that.
I
We
appreciate
want your comments about that place.
Want-
Take, is this what you saw?
No, I find that
accommodate
Well,
us.
take
We'd like
it
to work
and
with
mark
the
it up
town.
anything
We
you
just can't come in
want.
and say, here's what we're gonna
Okay,
do.
no, mark
Because
it
we
up.
want
We're going
accurate
back to-
information,
With
we
respect
don't
for
want,
the-
There's a lot of,
As best we can.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah, but that's the stuff we don't want to lose. You
There's a lot
know,
of
you do have unique information.
the whole,
This is the 3 houses plus the
Oh.
big house. And you're welcome to have one of these.
that's what I'm saying, there shouldn't be hardly any discussion of whatever they want to put in. These 3 houses were specifically different
Oh, yeah.
right,
to
right.
start with, so
They're
it doesn't
unique.
matter as long as it goes kind of with.
As long as it's early 1900s and not 1700s.
Yeah, right.
That's, I think, what we're saying.
1783.
And looks
Right.
in the context, in the context of the big farm and those
Right.
3 houses. And of course, the shed in the back that was, you know, for the fair, that
Built as
went
well as
too.
they could have done either,
You know,
which I realize has no
well,
bearing.
those are
on it.
balloon construction, right? They're not post and beam.
Well, mine is the worst of the 3,
I thought yours was the farm manager's house.
probably, but it didn't matter. Howard's was the best house, Sean's was okay, and they ran out of stuff when they got the money.
Yeah, that was all made from salvage.
Honest to God, it was-
So the
that's
one
the
nearest the
story.
ramp to 495 was the best.
Yep.
And then the little cottage, which they did a good job in
Yeah.
when they did the veterinary office. I mean, it's nice because it has the flavor of
And
there.
that parking lot, when it first opened, that was one of them, we're talking about parking here. That holds 50 cars.
Wow. Well, see, you
Which
could
you
have asked
probably
for,
couldn't
you could have
imagine,
asked for shielding.
Because when he had his
there if you
open
wanted.
house, I counted 50 cars in that lot.
Yeah, but I'm saying as an abutter, you could have put in feedback that you'd like some buffering there between the parking.
We had it and we eliminated it because that plant didn't bother bringing the, it was originally supposed to be a circular drive for them,
Oh, really?
which came across the front, which would have put their lights in my living room.
Ooh,
that's right.
Well, there's a few other stories in this town. The Freitas building is not where, the driveway is not where it was supposed to be.
yeah, that's right there across from you too. Thank you.
I don't have any
Merry
fun.
Christmas.
Thank you.
You
Merry
out of my
Christmas
house.
to you too.
Pleasant meeting you. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, good.
Nice to see you. Merry Christmas.
Yes, it is the season.
Nice to see you. Merry Christmas.
Marshall, did you get
Thank you
Mr.
for your time.
Finelli's card when you were in the design
Thanks so
review
much.
team?
I think we did,
And then a
yeah.
couple.
Yeah, if you have a couple
I'd love to give
extra
them
cards.
away. No, someone might call someday.
And you're gonna see some of us at those other meetings too, because, you know, we want this to work out great for you and for the town.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
I'm not kidding. Come sit in my driveway at 4:30. If you want to be, any of you, I don't care.
Yeah, I must say, Mr. Bracy, they took a lot of photos of your place, and although it doesn't have real old features, it's such a perfect little living space with
It's
your
a
new
cute
floors
little
and your
place.
cabinets, and that's why we were thinking, we'll put a sign up, free house, they have one in Framingham,
Well,
and take it away, you know?
this is the town of Bolton, and they've already done it once on Still River Road. You already own the lot next door,
The
where
town,
you play lacrosse.
right.
You pick up the house and put it over there, and you fix it up and you sell it.
Yeah, well, remember, at one time, that's when we had these surveys enhanced and continued. The town was thinking of buying all 3 of those properties because they knew they would be perfect for
I've
small
lived-
businesses.
I've lived through a
And we
lot
knew
of
they were
stuff.
in jeopardy, you know.
You realize there are plans drawn in somebody's filing cabinet at Mobile Oil? That was supposed to be a mobile on the
Oh,
line.
heavens, well, I'm glad that fell through. Anyway,
Before
Merry Christmas to you.
that, Mr. Shell Station across the street with a Chalet Shazam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be in touch.
Good talking to you. Thank you. Take care.
Okay,
Okay, what's that?
keep good, be good with it. That's all, just, what can I say? I mean, that's, but there's a lot in here that has been missed.
Well, that's why we're interested in your
It
comments.
kind of
because-
surprises me, because I don't know what the hell happened. You know, I thought everybody knew this stuff.
Well, we
Evidently, it was
know,
just
and
me and
that's why
Howard.
it's important that you document this.
Howard was not well liked. Howard, the younger. He was
Oh,
on-
the younger.
Well, the
Not the guy who
guy
bought
that
the
just
house.
died, yeah, not Howard's father. Howard was the end house, and he was on the fire department.
Oh, Mickey, I
That-
thought you meant the,
They all called him
Senior.
old picky ass. I'm not, you can ask any of them. John Stevenson or the old deputy Jack Holbrook.
are we finished?
They
Those are
would-
the stories that get lost. Unless somebody like you writes them down, they get
That's,
lost.
I should be
And you're
working
kinda-
hard.